And there we are. If you can hear us okay, please give me a 5 by 5 in the comments. Tonight, we are going to be doing not really a mock trial, but basically like a very short and sort of informal mock trial for Tyler Robinson. It's not going to be super technical. Like, we're not going to be doing objections. We're not going to be doing, there's no judge or anything like that. It's sort of a cross between a debate, a formal debate on a stage, and a courtroom, basically. And it's not really like talking to a jury. It's not really talking to a judge for a PC hearing. It's not terribly structured yet. But tonight we are talking about whether or not Tyler Robinson is guilty or not guilty. I will be presenting the arguments that he is not guilty. And James May is on here again. He was on here last time. He will be presenting the argument that Tyler Robinson is guilty or is likely guilty. I don't know what his exact position is, but I know that he's very favorable towards that idea. And Kelly is on here again. Thank you for coming on. She will be
Thank you for
moderating.
having me.
And last time she didn't have the most control over the format. We're going to change things up a little bit. Once I give the reins over to her, she will be starting and stopping segments. She will control the clock. And I will be sort of playing the role of, I guess, the defense attorney, sort of, kind of. But what we're trying to do here is offer a very structured and focused and intentional format to discuss these ideas where people have time to come on and know exactly what's going to happen and have the opportunity to prepare written statements, written questions that they can plan in advance, and have a lot more time to go super deep into things, not impromptu, but in a structured, predictable environment. So that's what we're doing tonight. Last time we talked about sort of the federal narrative versus the fake death theory, and we also had Clyde Max on, who had his own theory. But tonight, it's not about faked death theory. It might come up a couple times in passing, but I'm not going to be focusing on that. It's just going to be about Tyler Robinson. And I think we can get a lot of people behind this idea because there is a lot of infighting in sort of this community right now. But what we can all agree on, pretty much everyone, is that the federal narrative doesn't work. And I don't want to put James on the spot, but I know most of my audience and Kelly's audience are in that same boat. What we want to focus on tonight is the stuff that we all agree on, and we want to strengthen that argument that the federal theory doesn't add up, and perhaps even that it is stopping the real investigation from finding the real threat by focusing on the incorrect one. So, without further ado, I will pass it off to Kelly, who will control the format, starting with the first segment here.
All righty. Are we ready? I am looking forward to tonight. So thank you so much, Jordan. Let's dive right in. Okay. So we're going to start with opening statements. Is that right? And so we'll have James. Do you want to have James begin?
Yeah, because he's representing the prosecution, and just by default, they get the first word and the last word because it's most difficult because they have the most difficult position to prove beyond reasonable doubt.
Fantastic. Okay, so James, we are going to be bringing you onto the stage, and you will have up to 15 minutes, I believe. I am pulling up my plan right now.
Let me know when to start.
Okay. And my clock is ticking. So you have 5 to 15 minutes to present your opening statement. My clock will be running. And go ahead and begin now.
So, in terms of me saying that he did it or saying that Tyler Robinson is guilty 100%, I can't say that right now, but I'm going to go off of the evidence that we have currently. We have evidence in the charging documents. We have scientific papers written about 30-06s and bullet fragments and things like that prove that, it is a powerful round, but at the same time, I mean, there are different levels and categories of that same round that are used for different things, and it It's possible that it doesn't exit him. We have examples of that. There's also the sound evidence. There's been research into the audio that's shown that it's been a high powered round. I believe it's a hypersonic round is how they are. Supersonic round is how the person described it. So there's all kinds of evidence, and we can just go through the charging document. First thing is, you know, I don't know about you all, but if it wasn't my kid, I wouldn't say that looks like my kid. I wouldn't say my kid looks like the killer if I didn't think it was my son. So we have the parents sitting there saying, you know, hey, that looks like my kid. We also have his friends saying that it looks like him. And then once we get through all that, we have Tyler's 4.5. I said 4.5 confessions, not 5, 4.5 confessions. And with those 4.5 confessions, he confessed to his furry lover. He confessed to, with the note underneath, the picture was taken. We have the parents, where he implied that he did it, and then they asked him why he did it, and he basically said, well, this is the reason I did it. So there's that. We have the family friend. Family friend suggested he turn himself in. There's no reason for him to turn himself in if he didn't do anything. So we have the family friend. We also have the Discord chat where he told his friends that he did it. So we have confessions. We also have opportunity for him to do it. He was obviously in the area. We have photos of him in restaurants, you know, driving away from it. We have video of him walking to the scene. Like I said, we have video of him walking up the stairs where his parents recognized him. We also have, with all that, we also have, the fact that the weapon is, you know, has the DNA on it. We also have his DNA at the site where he was shot, or he made the shot. We have marks where somebody was laying down and prone. We have fingerprints on the weapon. He has access to the weapon. His parents asked him specifically about the gun. You know, they said there's no reason for them to ask about a gun if he doesn't have a gun. The gun that was put up there, people have made a big deal about it not being the exact gun. And I got a little bit of flack on this from the chat where they were saying, oh, when I said a gun is a gun is a gun, I mean, an iPhone 16 that's blue is going to look like an iPhone 16 that's blue, no matter, you know, where you are in the world. You know, a Mauser of that style is going to look like a Mauser of that style, no matter where it comes from. If you don't modify it. So we have all these things that come together and scaffold together to build the case that, as of right now, with everything that's been released, Tyler Robinson is the one who killed him. And I'm done.
Okay. 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Thank you so much for your opening statement. Now, Jordan, we will hand it over to you.
Okay, give me a moment to get this thing pulled up. Come on. Give me one moment, please.
Okay.
Here we go. All right. Can I make this smaller so I can see everybody? There we go. Perfect. I'm going to now hide this if I can. Here we go. Okay. I will go ahead and begin my opening statement now. I can maybe
Perfect.
zoom this in a little bit. Okay, opening statement. Who controls the truth? The truth is simply what is. Does it run from us, hide from us, trick us? No. The truth simply exists. It is there, always to be found, always to be seen. The truth is simple, truth is quick. But when we control the truth is when it falls short. Who controls the truth in this case? Cameras, audio recordings, photographs? Is the truth controlled by inanimate objects such as these, or is it controlled by a person, by a group, by a government? Is the truth controlled by a who, or is it not controlled at all? Throughout this night, I will reveal the truth to you in its simplest form by using cameras, audio recordings, and photographs. I will not appeal to documents created by a who. I will only use evidence created by the truth itself. I will show camera recordings that will not be explained, audio recordings that will not be explained, and photographs that will not be explained. That is because it is not my job to explain them. It is instead my job to show tension between how the prosecution controls the truth and how the truth is portrayed by cameras, audio recordings, and photographs. I only need to show you that the story you are told does not match the simplest version of the truth. I only need to show you that the story doesn't add up. Reasonable doubt. Maybe something else happened. Maybe it's more complicated. Maybe someone rushed to judgment. Maybe there's a simpler explanation. Reasonable doubt. The defendant in this case is accused of first-degree murder. However, he is presumed innocent until proven guilty. I will not be slandered for what I do tonight under the presumption of his guilt. That is because we do not know what happened yet. No one has been put on trial. No one has pled guilty. No confession is recorded on the public record. The defendant is innocent until proven guilty. Therefore, this endeavor is fully and wholly within the bounds of human curiosity, professional ethics, and civil commentary. Any impact tonight's work may have on the real criminal case currently unfolding shall strengthen the case's resolve or the truth through open debate. Open debate is something the victim of this case championed. If you wish to speak ill of me for this speech, you do so against the victim's name. This is what happened the day of September 10th, according to the defendant. Tyler Robinson looked up to Charlie Kirk. He respected Charlie Kirk. Didn't agree with Charlie Kirk on everything, but he respected him. Tyler Robinson went to UVU that day to hear Kirk speak, just as everyone else did. The shooting happens, and Robinson runs away, drives off, and stops in a random parking lot once a safe distance away, like a lot of other people did that day. He then drove, and he checks his phone, he checks the news, he calls his family, because he was just in a public shooting. Of course that's what you do. You want to find out what just happened. He then drove home. Later, a photo from a stairwell starts surfacing. This is the photo of the suspect. The suspect looks a little like Robinson. Robinson was there that day, not wearing the same clothes, but he does look like the man in the stairwell. So Robinson begins panicking. What if people think it's him? Then, later into the evening, a rifle is found. Why wasn't it found immediately, or at least within the first hour? Like, how much room do they have to search? How many acres do they have to search? Not very many. How many guys do they have? A lot of guys, but it took them until like late into the night to figure that out. Robinson didn't know the answer to that, but he was scared because the rifle was his rifle. How did it end up in the bush? He has no idea. He loaned it to someone. Robinson loaned the rifle to someone else. He didn't have it in his possession. Robinson now goes to his parents' house, scared to death. He also tells his boyfriend this. Eventually, his extremely concerned parents call a family friend who is a retired law enforcement officer. Robinson is suicidal at this point. His world is caving in. Everyone thinks it's him. When the retired cop comes, the decision is made to go to the police station and try to clear Tyler's name peacefully, without a standoff. This goes according to plan, but during interrogation, it becomes clear the investigators have no intention of clearing things up. Robinson is their suspect. He is not an innocent bystander who is framed. Tyler Robinson suddenly is the one who actually killed Charlie Kirk. Why? Because his boyfriend made up some messages to get $1 million reward. Because he loaned his rifle to the wrong person. Because he looked a little bit too much like some random person in a stairwell. Throughout this night, you will not hear evidence from cameras, audio recordings, or photographs connecting the defendant Tyler Robinson to the suspect in this case. And you will also not hear evidence connecting the suspect in this case to the crime allegedly committed. There is in fact no direct evidentiary link between the defendant and the suspect, nor between the suspect and the crime. In fact, you will instead hear evidence that the visual appearance of the defendant is different from the visual appearance of the suspect. And then you will hear evidence that the energetic event that took place on the body of the victim is different from the expected outcome of the alleged crime. In simpler terms, the person in custody right now does not look like the person suspected of the crime, and the crime does not match what could have been achieved by the suspect. The defendant doesn't match, and the weapon doesn't match. Maybe there's a simple explanation. Maybe I got something wrong. Maybe a lot of people got something wrong. Occam's razor tells us to look for the simplest explanation, and the simplest explanation in this case is what the government already told us. The defendant went onto the Losi Center roof and fired a 30-06 rifle at the victim and shot the victim in the neck, and the victim died as a result. That is a simple story, that is a clean narrative, and that is easy to sell to a jury. It fulfills Occam's razor. It requires the fewest number of assumptions. No grand conspiracies, no exotic technology, no paranoid delusions. It seems so simple. It's the defendant's rifle with his DNA on it at the general location of the crime, 3 hours away from his home. His own parents turned him in. His boyfriend turned him in. He confessed 4.5 times. He had information only the suspect would have. It is an open and shut case. But is it true? Is it true? Who controls the truth? Is the truth controlled by paper, or does it simply exist and want to be found? Tonight, I invite you to discover the truth as it simply is. And that's it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And all right, now we will be turning this over to James for 15 to 30 minutes. You are allowed to cross-examine Jordan. You may begin.
So how did you get the timeline of events? Because you said Tyler Robinson called his parents first. So the timeline of events, you've just kind of thrown them all together, and they're not following what the charging documents or what anybody has said has happened. So where are you getting your timeline from?
Some of the details are, because it's not a real case, I can't talk to Tyler Robinson. There is some spin in there. But as far as calling his parents, we don't have his phone records, so that is sort of embellished a little bit. I don't know when he called his parents. I don't know if he did or didn't. That's sort of just embellished just for because I can't talk to him, but that's just what I imagined he might say.
So you just basically made that up for your narrative, correct?
The phone call, yes.
You made that
It was
up, and then yeah, so that was just made up for the narrative. So we can just basically say your timeline is just kind of what you think he might say.
the phone call to the parents specifically.
Okay. What with the gun and everything like that? Uh, that was made up to the whole conversation. You that's not based in anything that we've seen in any of the charging documents or any kind of interviews or anything like that as well.
Which specific statement?
Where you're saying that he saw the gun on the TV and then he realized it was his gun.
Yeah, that probably happened.
No, I'm saying that you made that part up. That's not part of the charging documents. That's not part of any interviews or anything like that.
No, but it probably happened.
No, I'm saying you made it up for the narrative. Like you're telling a story and you made that up for the narrative. That's not in any kind of documents that we have.
That specific detail is not documented then.
Okay. All right. The $1 million reward did you make that up for your narrative as well?
No, I didn't.
You didn't? It was only 100,000.
It was increased.
No, I can step in as the moderator and confirm that there was a $1 million reward offered.
It started out at 100,000, but it was increased by other donors.
By other donors. Okay. So that wasn't from the what's it called? That wasn't from the FBI. That was other people.
Private, I believe was it Bill Ackman? I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah, it was other donors. I found it. Yeah, you're right. So it was other donors that brought it up to that $1 million mark. Okay. All right. And when was that acknowledged? When would he have heard of that?
Of the reward?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that information in front of me. Is that on there, Kelly?
Yes, I can pull that up right now if you would like.
So he
This-
was, that was
So
published at 2:10.
I'm gonna let you share your screen, Kelly. We're gonna go
Okay,
into
perfect.
this one. Bring him back in. Okay, now you are sharing.
Okay, great. And I'm going to, let's see, remove that, add this. Okay, so this is the $1 million plus reward. And at the time, actually, this article was published on September 16th.
Mhm.
And I believe it was 1.15 at this point. Let's see. The Bureau.
What time did he turn himself in? Did Tyler turn himself in? I thought he turned himself in at night. And then the
There we go.
the earliest
Yes.
I found it was the 12th at 2 is when the
Uh,
1 million was released.
I believe he went to the police station at night and he was arrested in the early hours of the morning. That would have been a Sunday night. I was it Sunday night? I'll have to pull up a calendar, but I know he went to the police station at night and was formally arrested in the early hours.
I believe
Okay.
it was a Wednesday, the 10th, if I'm recalling off the top of my head, I think the 10th was a Wednesday. And so what if it was 33 hours, right? So it would have been before the end of the week.
I have it pulled up here. The 10th is a Wednesday, so it would have been Thursday night into Friday.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well,
And I do have the
regardless,
indictment and the probable cause statement if anybody needs it handy.
yeah, I got you. So there's that. Aware of an audio, uh, the audio being analyzed by an audio forensic expert?
I think a lot of audio forensic experts have analyzed the audio from this case.
Well, the one I'm talking about specifically is cited in CNN. Do you know about this?
I believe so, but if you can give me the specific name, that would help.
His name is Robert Mayer,
I
and he
think so.
said that he said supersonic rounds. It was fired. It was fired from a high powered weapon. I don't put a whole lot of stock into it, but if we're gonna say somebody analyzed the audio, we probably want to do it from a guy who's a prominent American professor and engineer who's the leading global expert in audio forensics and has written books on the subject and has said
Sure.
that it was a supersonic, shot. Uh, and then he also said that it had to be about 153 meters from Kirk's podium, and that finding aligns with the shooter taking aim at 150 yards away. You got to do conversions because we got American units and everybody else. So, do you think it would be wise for us to, if we're gonna analyze the audio, we should take into account somebody who's written a book on the subject and is frequently cited on the subject?
Yes.
Okay. So a lot of the problem that I have with the argument that you've presented for him not being guilty is it's it's a lot of narrative and spinning the story in order to get to where you need it to get instead of following what we have. Uh, with the shirt, and I know you've mentioned that before. You haven't mentioned it in that opening, but you've mentioned the shirt before and how it popped up on one side, and you're specifically trying to create one thing without looking at all the other evidence at the same time. So, when you scaffold everything off of one piece of evidence instead of looking at what we have and trying to figure out what's going to build the house with the materials that we have at at our disposal, you're more likely to get a confirmation bias. So, that's my biggest problem with everything that you had. And I'll go ahead and let you rebut whatever you want to do.
All right. Thank you so much, James. I appreciate it. And I'll have to revisit with you on that Robert Mayer comment or analysis because I'm having a little difficulty finding that exact citation because from what I'm seeing, it looks like it was just part of an online discussion. All right. So, Jordan, it is your turn, please. If you are ready to begin your cross, I
Yes, I
am
am.
ready for you.
Okay.
Yes.
James is back here, and here we go. All right, James. There is a bounty on the head of the suspects of the suspect in this case, wasn't there?
Yes.
And that bounty was to the tune of about $1 million by the time of the defendant's arrest.
Yes.
And that bounty was collected by providing evidence leading to an arrest, right?
Yes.
And the defendant's roommate provided that evidence, didn't he?
I believe so, but I'm not sure if it was after he had already turned himself in. We have to look at the timeline for that.
Okay. But he did present that evidence, right? When that bounty was active?
Yes.
Okay. But the police made no documented attempt to authenticate that evidence that the boyfriend provided, did they?
They did.
They did.
Yes.
What did they do?
They had a photo. What's it called? Lance Twiggs took a photo, showed it to the police, and I
They
believe
didn't, no, they didn't authenticate the messages on that screen, though, did they?
which messages are you talking about?
The messages they took a photo of, they didn't authenticate those messages, did they?
Are you okay? So here's a couple of things. They took a photo, or Lance Twiggs took a photo of the note that was taped underneath the keyboard. Now, if you're talking about the Discord messages or the text messages, you're gonna have to let me know which one you're talking about.
The text messages, the Discord messages, even the note under the table, they didn't do anything to authenticate the authenticity of any of those messages, did they?
Yes,
Did they authenticate or did they not authenticate?
they authenticated it.
How so?
Well, we can go off the fact that it wouldn't be in the charging documents if they hadn't authenticated it in some way. Now, their authentication could be incorrect, but you're not going to put something in a charging document unless you've authenticated it in some way.
Isn't it true that the police did not collect the device itself as evidence?
I'm not sure on that.
Isn't it true that the police did not make electronic copies of this evidence?
Say that again.
Breaking up a little bit. Did you just ask me to say that again?
Yeah, you're breaking up bad.
Isn't it true that the police did not make electronic copies of the evidence?
I would assume that they did make electronic copies, but that's one of the things that we don't know for sure.
Okay, so without
You know,
speculating, do you have any documentation that the police made an electronic copy of that evidence?
typically, if you're going to put in a charging document, that's what the evidence you collect. That's part of the evidence you collect. So, standard operating procedure, they would either have the device or they would make
I'm
a
not
copy.
asking about standard procedure. I'm asking about the documentation for this specific case. Isn't it true that the police did not make electronic copies of the evidence?
It is not true.
Okay. What they actually did is they just snapped a couple photos of the screen, wasn't it?
I'm not 100% certain on that. Did they?
Seems like they did. Okay, moving on. Surveillance footage captured the suspect at the crime scene with dark hair, a long sleeve black shirt, and dark colored jeans, right?
I believe so.
And surveillance footage of the defendant, Tyler Robinson, near the crime scene was found later, right?
I believe so.
But the defendant, Tyler Robinson, did not have dark colored hair, did he?
I believe his hair is dark brown. I'd have to look at a picture of him.
Ellie?
I mean, you want me to put a picture on the stage?
What just happened? Okay, I don't know what exactly happened here. I think Kelly, you must be doing that.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I just put that on the stage. My bad.
Go to presenting solo here. There we go.
There we go. Okay, now I see it. Oh, hold on. There we go. He was
Okay, that is-
inquiring about the color of his hair.
Yes. Is that the photo, James, of the suspect? Oh, I need to put him back. Step bug. Okay,
Yeah,
hold on.
that's him.
Now you're live. Now you're live.
That's him.
Okay. And does that and the individual in that stairwell has dark colored hair, right?
Appears so.
Okay. Now can we pull up Tyler Robinson, please?
Yes. Let's see, I can get more photos of him. One moment.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Is that the defendant in this case, James?
Yes.
And this defendant does not have dark colored hair, does he?
Doesn't appear so in that picture.
Okay. And the defendant did not have a long sleeve black shirt on in that surveillance footage, did he? Where he was seen at the crime scene later.
Looks like dark.
If you're speaking, I cannot hear you. I did not catch that answer. Breaking up quite a bit.
Breaking up really bad.
Are you using a corded device? It kind of sounds like you have a bad cord almost. Okay. Can you hear me, James? He's going to rejoin.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, we can. Are there any other photos that you'd like for me to pull up in the meantime?
Yeah. Do we have the one where he is in the surveillance footage at UVU in the maroon shirt?
In the maroon shirt? Oh, okay. That may be
Yeah,
at the Dairy Queen. The Dairy Queen.
Or it might be the one in the street shot, maybe? Because I don't think there's any footage of him on campus in the maroon. But I think there's the street cam, I think.
Okay.
That Ring doorbell, I think. Can you hear me now, James?
Yeah, you're really breaking up bad though.
What device? What kind of device are you on?
I'm using my iPhone.
Are you able to get to a bigger computer?
Yeah, I can. Hold on.
Yeah, let's try that, please. Yeah, there it is. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, guys in the audience, we're going to see if he can join on a different device.
Because this one is going to be, from a dorm photo, I think we don't exactly know the date on this one. And then this would be supposedly from that day, that Ring doorbell.
Yeah. It's no big deal if we can't get super clear footage, but I think the federal narrative does have that as him. Are those just his socks?
I can't tell her if that's his really white legs.
Well, the skin tone is definitely not
It
the
just
same.
totally different. Yeah.
He has like weird kid socks on, I guess. Okay, he's just exited and maybe he'll come back on a
Okay.
better device.
Let's see what else we have here.
But for people, oh, that one's better. But for people in the audience, we are going over the differences between the suspect and the defendant in this case, the visual differences between what Tyler Robinson is wearing and what the suspect is wearing in the stairwell photo. And we're having some technical difficulties with our guest. We're trying to get him back on so that he can hear us and we can hear him.
And I'll pull that back up in the meantime while we're also just waiting on him. This is a pretty good close-up that we know is from old body cam footage when he was pulled over at one point, I believe a year or two prior. And then here's another image when he made his
Can you hear us now, Jake?
All right. Can y'all hear me now?
Yes, I can. Okay. Can we go back to the TMZ?
Yep, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
this
Thank
one?
you so much. Yes, please.
Yep.
Okay. So James, what we were talking about were the visual differences between, I guess this is kind of leading, I couldn't say this in court, but the visual differences between the defendant, Tyler Robinson's clothing, and what we see on the suspect. I think my last question was, but the defendant did not have dark colored hair. You said yes, or something. And the defendant did not have a long sleeve black shirt on, did he? So does this defendant, first of all, would you agree this is the defendant on the screen now?
Yes.
Okay. And he does not have a long sleeve black shirt on, does he?
No.
Okay. And the defendant did not have on dark colored jeans?
No.
Okay. In fact, the defendant has light colored hair, not dark colored hair, right?
In that photo that you showed, he has light colored hair.
Okay. And the defendant wore a maroon colored t-shirt, not a long sleeve black shirt, right?
Correct.
And the defendant wore light shorts, not dark colored jeans, right?
Correct.
Okay. The defendant freely approached the police, didn't he?
No.
He didn't freely approach the police?
No. He threatened to kill himself before the family convinced him not to do it. And then he had to be convinced by a family friend to turn himself in.
But the police did not go to his house, did they?
No.
And no one put him in handcuffs at his house or anywhere else?
Not to my knowledge, no.
And nobody picked him up and carried him to the police station, right?
No.
Okay. And the defendant hasn't made a single public statement since his arrest, has he? Or since the crime, has he?
Not that I'm aware of.
And the defendant's family has not made a single public statement, right?
There might have been a distant family member that might have made a statement, or it was an employee of his father's company or something.
I'll
I believe
rephrase.
it was a sister that made a statement.
I'll rephrase. The defendant's immediate family has not made a single public statement, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
And no cell phone, GPS, or cell phone tower. Bleh, let me try that again. And no cell phone, GPS, or cell tower data places the defendant at the crime scene, right?
Not that we have right now.
Okay. And there are no witnesses to the defendant being at the crime scene, right?
There are no witnesses of the defendant being at the crime scene. Not that I'm aware of.
And you have no DNA of the defendant on the campus where the crime took place, right?
We do.
We do?
Yes.
Where is that DNA?
I believe the DNA, obviously it's on the gun. So the gun is near the crime scene.
But the gun wasn't on the campus, though, was it?
I'm not sure how far away from the campus it was. It might technically still be on the campus.
It was across
and then,
the street from the campus, right?
That depend on how sprawling a campus is. It might be campus property. I'm not sure. I'm not aware of the exact.
For clarification purposes, I'll intervene here and just say that was private property where a gun was later located.
Okay.
A gun, not the gun. Thank you. Okay. And you didn't even ask. Okay. So you have no DNA of the defendant on the campus where the crime
We have
took place.
DNA of I believe there's DNA on the ledge, if I'm not mistaken.
But that's not in the arrest affidavit, is it?
I believe it is. If it's not, I might be wrong.
We pull that up. We'll go back into, oh, we're already in it. We'll wait and see if we can get that pulled up. I believe it is.
What fact were you looking for?
DNA evidence specifically on the campus or on the ledge of the Los roof.
Okay, I'm in the probable cause statement, and then I do have the indictment pulled up, but I'm going to check. I think probable cause may be more likely.
I'm pretty sure it's not in the arrest affidavit. I just mentioned that one first to rule it out.
Okay.
But if we can find it somewhere, that would be perfect.
Okay.
Because I can only ask leading questions. I have to ask a leading question that I think is going to be no.
You're right. There's no DNA found on the roof.
Anywhere on campus?
This is no.
Okay. You didn't even ask the defendant for an alibi, did you?
I mean, he never presented one.
Didn't anybody ask?
Yeah, actually, people did ask.
Nobody asked, right?
Yeah, his boyfriend asked. His boyfriend asked.
Where?
In the text messages, the boyfriend asked, "Was that you?" And he said, "Unfortunately, it was," or something like that.
Nobody in the media, nobody in the government that we know of has asked Tyler Robinson for an alibi, correct?
I mean, we haven't gotten to that part of the trial yet.
And nobody's even asking that question. Okay, moving on.
Okay.
A lot of people have tried to reproduce a 30-06 stopping in various human flesh and bone substitutes, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've tried massive cow bones with inches and inches and inches of flesh taped to them, right?
I haven't seen it, but I wouldn't put it past people trying.
I don't. Can we pull that up?
What part? Some examples of people giving it a go.
How much time do I have?
We are at 19 minutes right now.
Is that including the technical hiccup?
Yes.
I
it's
have
including
30
that.
minutes. I have 30 minutes.
Yeah,
have
I
30
didn't
minutes.
pause. So yeah.
I have 30 minutes. Do you remember which YouTube that is? I think it was. I don't. Let's just skip it for now. We can go back to it if we want to.
I mean, I have like a little montage of people if you want. But...
That would be perfect. Let's do that.
Okay. Give me just one moment and I can pull that up. And it's very brief. I mean, we're talking like maybe 15 seconds, 10 seconds or something, just for effect.
Perfect.
It's fine. It's exactly what we're looking for. This part right here.
Yeah, I think Heavy Duty Country did some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Heavy Duty Country.
Yes, that is a YouTube channel.
Here we go. I think I had a few different ones.
Maybe in hiding, protected. Officially, the cause of death is a single gunshot wound. But was an autopsy even done? Legally, it should be. But officially?
Nothing on this tailgate is going to stop 30.
Oh, hold on. Sorry. I thought that was the right part. This is when I had it split into two. Man, I thought I was being so clever. Hold on one second, guys.
It's all right.
Everybody, hey, how about everybody hit the like button if you are subscribed. Make sure you're subscribed to Jordan's channel, to my channel, and drop a question in if you would like. That would be amazing.
Yes, we'll do a Q&A.
Hate. I love the hate. Send me some hate.
Yeah, you're just like me. I don't like hate, but I like to talk to people who disagree with me. Why didn't y'all take me up? I'm going to show this real fast. On your offer? Are you talking about when on X you asked Kelly and I to come on your show? I'll do it. I even tweeted back at you that I would do it. Truth of AIDS. I don't know what Kelly thinks, but I'll do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if she saw the tweet.
Yeah,
Send me
no
a DM.
problem.
Send me a DM. Okay, you have it?
Nothing on this tailgate is going to stop 30-06 round, including the tailgate.
Countless ballistic experts online have demonstrated that a round of that size doesn't just pierce a neck, it eviscerates it. The visual evidence simply does not match the weapon.
Literal steel can't stop a 30-06 round. So actually, the whole man of steel argument doesn't even make sense, does it?
And what about his own organization?
Okay.
I thought it was a little lengthier, but hopefully it'll get us there for the moment.
Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate it. Thanks for doing
I
that.
tried.
Okay, so we'll go back to the question. James, they've tried massive cow bones with inches and inches and inches of flesh taped to them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and it didn't stop in the cow bone or in that flesh. It went right through?
Looks like it, I guess.
And they've tried steel too, right?
Yes.
And it didn't go through the steel?
Doesn't look like it.
Sorry, and hold up. Did I write that wrong? And it went right through the steel, correct?
If you say it did, yeah.
Okay. They've tried every single material that could possibly even try to simulate human flesh, haven't they?
I'm sure.
And the tissue in Charlie Kirk's neck that would have been exposed to a bullet would not have included any major bones, given the Losey Center shooting position, right?
It would have included major bones. Yes, it would have.
It wouldn't have included his neck, right?
Yes, it would have included his neck.
Can we pull that up? Pull up that peak prosperity video.
Okay.
You know which one I'm talking about?
I believe so. Yes.
The one, you know what I'm talking about? The one where he shows the path the bullet would take through the head.
Mm-hmm.
Tradition. Anyway, here they are shooting. This is a much less energetic.
Let's see, just a moment. Let's see if I have the right one.
Yeah, there it is.
Is it? Okay.
Perfect.
Oh,
I think
lucky
that's it, right?
me. Okay. I think so.
Like this, if only just the right frame got captured, we would see that overpressure
Oh,
event.
hold on.
By the way, that out and back
Hold
is
on.
going to be stopped by a human
Right
neck.
there, right there. Pause.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, James, would you agree that I guess that would be, so side to side, left to right, would you agree that the angle that the rifle was on between Charlie Kirk's face and the Losey Center shooting position was about 9 degrees? I think is what it is. Is that what it is?
No, because I don't know that for sure.
Okay, let me pull up Blender here. And I can screen share and draw a line perhaps. And get rid of that and bring this over here perhaps. And why is it not letting me move it? Won't let me move it to the other screen. Hold on. I'm going to pull up the map of UVU if this operating system will allow me to. And
Do I
it's
need to
still-
remove this from the stage?
No, yes, if you can put my screen share on. This thing just
Okay.
refuses to let me do anything right now. And I had the same exact problem last time. It just gets into this mode where
There you are. You're there.
it just refuses to let me use my screen. I'm trying to drag my thing over there, but it refuses. The screen is completely blocked off. So we may have to skip that. I do not understand why this happens. I'm trying to drag my window over.
You know what? While you are doing that, we did have a couple of super chats. It's the perfect time for me to read those out. If it's going to be just a moment.
Please.
Okay.
Go
Okay.
to,
So Debbie, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. We appreciate it. And for the super chat where she says, tell Jordan that I think he's great and right on. Kudos to him. And another super. Thank you so much, Wilson. I can't hide any of my rifles in my pants, not even one that is less than half the size of a huge Mauser. When he runs, you see the backpack swinging from his hand, not long enough to touch the ground. Excellent point. And Truth, thank you so much for this super. Problem with Robert Mayer is his analysis was from one microphone using crack bang to come to a quick conclusion from a news channel. He did not do a full analysis. I have the email I can give you, Kelly. Yes, please, Truth, feel free to send that over in case we are able to utilize that later on in the stream. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate all of you for being here. Thank you for the supers, and thank you for just engaging with this tonight.
I'm almost there. I'm going to go back to here. Why is that messed up? Hold on. Now I want to go into this one. Here we go. Okay. I think we are almost there. I just need to somehow grab this and go there. And well, that's not going to work. Maybe we can do what happened there. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. James, you still with us? I don't think he is. Hold on, let me put him back in because of this stupid bug. Now you should be back in.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Do you see the map here?
Yeah.
Okay, and would you agree that where my mouse is right now is the Lozi Center position?
Sure.
Okay, and this, just for your information, this is the 3D map created by Paramount Tactical using drone LiDAR data taken directly from the ground. And would you agree that this is the approximate position of Charlie Kirk, where my mouse is now? And I can't really put the line directly on him, I don't think. Grabs on the Z? No. Maybe I can bring his head up. I should be able to do that. Give me a second. Grab his head. There we go. And grab on the Z and bring him all the way up there. Perfect. And now go back into this view and aha, this is the best live stream. Figuring this stuff out right now. Okay. So this is about, would you agree that where the line is right now is about where he was struck in the neck?
James?
No. No.
Okay. Is it more like right here?
No matter what you say, I'm going to say no.
Okay. Was it more like this?
Again, whatever you say, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Is there any particular reason? Just for the audience is asking, James, if you could kind of give them some inside baseball insight.
We haven't examined the body. We don't have an autopsy report. We don't know the exact angle that he was hit in the neck. We won't know that until we get the autopsy back. If we don't have the body, we can't determine where he was shot from exactly with the Lozi Center. We don't know if he was standing up and laid prone at one point, if he had that gun angled down, or if it was more straight. We don't know what the drop of the bullet was. We don't have information on the exact bullet. So we can't gain any of that information off of the trajectory of the bullet because we don't have the bullet. We don't have the body. We don't know what the position was exactly.
But we know where Tyler Robinson allegedly took the shot from, correct?
That's one out of, you've got 20% of the information.
Okay, but do we know where Tyler Robinson allegedly took the shot from, right?
That's 20% of the information.
That is a yes or no question.
Oh, yeah, we know where he took the shot from.
And we know where Charlie Kirk was, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it doesn't matter what type of bullet it was, it's going to travel the same path, right?
It matters. The bullet matters.
Does the type of the bullet doesn't determine the path though, right?
It does.
Okay. And the geography and the position of Tyler Robinson and Charlie Kirk is what determines the path of the bullet, correct?
That's part of it. It's not the entire story.
Okay. So we should be able to calculate exactly where this line would be, right?
No.
Okay. They've also, okay, so back to the topic of the people trying to, I'm going to go back into the other screen now so we're not distracted and bring him back. Oh no, it got broken. There we go. And the comments off. Back to the topic of people trying to reproduce a 30-06 not stopping in the neck. They've also tried every type of round. Have I done this one yet? In the tissue in Charlie Kirk's neck that would have been exposed to a bullet would not have included any major bones, would it?
It would have.
Okay. And they've also tried every type of round, every type of bullet that can be chambered in 30-06, have they not?
I'm not aware of them trying every type of bullet. You would have to try every bullet brand, every grain weight, every jacket. You'd have to figure out if somebody loaded their own ammo. So, no, they haven't tried every bullet.
Okay. But none of the tests they have done have successfully gotten the bullet to stop, did they?
From your sources, I'll take it, for what it is.
In fact, not a single test to date, while switching around every bullet type known to man and every flesh and bone substitute known to man, has ever gotten a 30-06 bullet to stop. Isn't that right?
Every bullet known to man? No. No.
Every bullet that can be chambered in 30-06 has not worked, right?
No. I reject that. No.
When Charlie Kirk was allegedly struck in the side of his neck, not the center of his neck, the side of his neck, the bullet's path would not have naturally crossed the spine if the rifle was on the lozy center roof, would it?
Would repeat that one more time.
Sure, that one's a little bit long. That's on me. When Charlie Kirk was allegedly struck in the side of his neck, not the center of his neck, but the side of his neck, the bullet's path would not have naturally crossed the spine if the rifle was on the lozy center roof, would it?
We don't know that.
And when Charlie Kirk was struck in the neck by something, that something stopped because of the neck, didn't it?
From the reports, yes.
Okay. And that is, how much time do I have?
We are at 36.
Oh, geez. Okay. We are over
But
time.
I mean, we had some delays in there though, so I would say
Yeah.
we're like right on. We're pretty much spot on.
Perfect. That will conclude that segment.
Okay. Okay. Before we transition to the next, I did want to bring up, we had one more super come through from Truth. Just mentioning that, thank you so much, Truth, for the super. From the ledge of the Losi to Charlie is 6 degrees.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving right along.
Back to some of these.
Sorry,
super
you
chats.
were on mute. Hold on. Can you repeat that? I only just added you back because of a bug. James.
Can I respond to some of those super chats that we had earlier?
Oh,
let's save
yes.
that-
Sorry. Yeah,
Let's
we
save
can
that
go.
for-
We can go. Yep.
Let's save that for the
If you'd
Q&A.
like to. Okay.
Okay.
Yep, we can do that. So that way we keep this part moving on. Okay. So we have completed not only opening statements, but cross. And now we are going to move on to audio analysis. Is that right,
Yes.
Jordan? Yep. Okay. So I will be direct examining Jordan for about 5 to 10 minutes on audio. All right, Jordan. So please, let me start the clock and keep myself on task. Okay, so if you could tell me, what have you been working on in terms of this audio analysis? Please explain your theory to me.
I'm trying to figure out how I can use the many different microphones recorded audio at UVU of the event of the rifle shot. I'm trying to use that in order to figure out where the rifle would have been, how fast the bullet would have been moving, and where the bullet would have went. I started off using what's called the crack thump method, which basically means when we have a supersonic object moving through the air, like a fighter jet, we would expect to hear two different sounds to most observers downrange of the rifle. The first sound is the supersonic crack, which is a sort of a compression wave that travels with the bullet. It's sort of a cone shape, and it travels with the bullet downrange, and its angle is determined by the speed of the bullet, how much faster it is going than sound. And then the second sound you would expect to hear by most observers is the muck, or is the muzzle blast sphere, which is the explosion of the gun that propels the bullet. So two sounds. You'll hear the first sound being the supersonic crack, and then you'll hear the thump. All observers will hear, not all, but most of the observers downrange of the rifle will hear both those sounds. And what we can do is take the time delay between the crack and the thump in each individual recording and use a mathematical model to make a guess as to where the rifle might have been and what speed the bullet might have been and where the rifle might have been pointed. We can make a guess for each microphone in the field as to what its crack thump delay should be given our hypothesis. And then we can go measure the actual crack thump delay recorded by that microphone and see whether or not it matches our prediction. I don't have a single button that will tell me what the right answer is, but what I can do is I can test thousands of different hypotheses and see which one has the smallest degree of error.
How many different audio samples have you analyzed, and what is this method that you've come up with?
So
What are
the
you
method
using?
is the crack thump method, which I just explained, and
But
the
I,
number
I
of
mean, but what are you using to actually analyze this?
I'm
And then how
using
many
computer software.
examples? Okay.
I'm using computer software that I wrote in Python. It is a Blender add-on. The software that we just used to show the line going through the head is that same software platform, I guess. But my software is an add-on that we write that sort of integrates with that software and allows me to use the 3D space of the software to help me position items. And it gives me a nice UI that I can work with to make a really attractive user experience. But the actual work, the actual math is done by computer code that I wrote with a little bit of AI help, but I did most of the construction, and then I had to help me with some of the math. The number of microphones I'm currently actually using in the final analysis is 3 microphones. The one behind Frank Turek, that was recorded in 4K. There's 2 behind Frank Turek. I can go into that later, which specific one. But the one behind Frank Turek, the one from the balcony behind Charlie Kirk to his left, as well as one sort of in the center back of the courtyard. There are a lot of other recordings that we have access to, but part of my process is, and part of science really, is making sure that your tool actually works. When you want to come up with software that's supposed to solve a problem, that's supposed to come to the right answer that is actually physically true, you want to make sure it works. And the way you do that, in this case, is by doing what I call a test case, especially in software. You go out into a range, you set up some microphones out in the field, and you fire the rifle downrange into a target, and you record the position of everything so that you know exactly where the rifle was actually aimed and where all the microphones are. And then you plug that into the computer and see whether or not the software actually works. This is a test case. This confirms that my method actually works. So I did that. And what I found was that it worked for every microphone except for one microphone. One microphone did not work. And what I determined was that the reason it did not work was because it did not have line of sight to the rifle. The time delay between the crack and the thump for that microphone was a little bit more than I expected, than I predicted. the measured value was greater than the predicted value by too high a margin. So I explained this, and I need to do more testing to be sure, but I explained this by saying that the obstruction to line of sight delayed the entrance or the arrival time of the muzzle blast, because the muzzle blast sphere has to work its way around that obstruction to line of sight. And so, because I can't accurately predict exactly how that interaction will manifest, I have to basically say that any recording at UVU that does not have line of sight to the hypothesis rifle position has to be discredited, has to be thrown out, because it doesn't have line of sight. And in the test case, I proved somewhat kind of that those microphones will not reliably predict the true location of the rifle. So it's software doing the heavy lifting with a nice, pretty little UI inside of Blender. And it's those three microphones that I'm using right now.
And how confident do you feel in your analysis?
Not very confident at this stage. I'm still in the preliminary stage, which means there's still a lot of caveats to it. I don't have this pulled up right now, but you can see those on my X on an article that I wrote where I list out, like, this is a limitation of the work. That's a limitation of the work. I need to understand this aspect more. I need to understand that aspect more. There's, I think, 8 different caveats that I listed out. So right now, the conclusion that I've come to is not certain. I don't know for sure. It does seem to be highly favorable to a certain conclusion, but I don't know for sure yet. I'm still in the preliminary phase.
Okay, chat, was there anything? I'm like, Jordan, is there anything else that I haven't asked yet during this direct? Anything else that you felt was important to add?
Well, what's my conclusion?
Oh, I thought we addressed that already. Okay, well, please tell me, what is your conclusion of all of this elaborate audio analysis that you have done?
So right now, and again, it is a preliminary conclusion, but every time I do the test, it's set up to where I can drag my cursor throughout the screen and effectively test thousands of different hypotheses all at once. And it will show me the error in real time as I drag it across the screen. I can change the bullet speed. I can make small adjustments to the position of the rifle. I can change the air drag coefficient. That's actually not working right now. Can't change the air drag coefficient yet, but I can change a lot of things and tweak a lot of things. And what I consistently find is that no matter what I tweak, no matter what I adjust, it always favors the orientation to the van under the tunnel to Charlie Kirk's right, and it never favors the orientation going into Charlie Kirk. Both of them are at about 2,500 feet per second, the bullet speed. Both of them are like under 20 milliseconds of error, but the orientation into the van, I can get down to about 4 milliseconds of aggregated error, but the shot into Charlie Kirk, I don't believe goes down to 20 milliseconds of error. I'll have to look at that later, but like the lowest I can get there is like 20 milliseconds, and the lowest I can get with the shot to the trunk in the van is 4 milliseconds, I believe. And 20 milliseconds is a lot of error at these degrees of measurement. So it does seem to strongly favor the shot to the trunk, but more work does need to be done.
Okay, thank you so much for that. We are coming in right just under 10 minutes. All right, James May, if you would like to take an opportunity to cross-examine Jordan about his audio analysis.
All right. So you're obviously smarter than me on all of this. I don't know anything about any of this. I defer to the experts. But what I've come away with is you're not really an expert on this either, are you?
What specifically?
On audio, forensic analysis.
I have no formal training. I have no formal training or job experience in this field. No.
So you're not an expert.
No.
And if you were to like research how to actually do some audio forensic analysis, what would you do? Like if you were doing some research, what would you do?
If I were to research the topic,
Yes.
I would probably type into Google how to do forensic acoustic analysis.
So would you read any kind of papers, or would you read, you know, people that have done this type of thing before?
Yes, I have.
Oh, you have? Who are some of the people that you've read up on?
Well, this was a YouTube video, was the main one, and it is a physicist who I personally know who did the original analysis there, and he used the crack thump method. I know I have researched the crack thump method before. It's been so many months now since I started it. I don't recall if I read any articles on it, but I certainly did research the topic before doing it myself.
What did your physicist friend say about the audio analysis?
He came to the exact same conclusion that I did.
And he's a physicist, right?
Yes, and I can personally verify that.
And he's not an audio tech forensic analysis or anything like that. That's not his specialty. Is audio.
He's a published physicist.
What physics is a broad thing. There's macro physics. There's micro physics. What kind of physics does he work with?
I don't know what his specific specialty is.
How did you verify that he's actually a physicist?
Because I read some of his papers.
What were his papers over?
I don't think I'm at the liberty to share that because he is a private individual. So I'm going to plead the fifth on that one. I don't want to share that information.
Well, that's kind of, I don't know. That's there's like a broad array of physics. You could say, it's space related, it's load bearing related.
What he does is he finds mysteries out in the real world, problems that have not been solved yet, and he tries to solve those problems. And sometimes he spends decades or up to a decade solving a really difficult physics problem.
So he's basically a theoretical physicist. He's trying to figure out theories and things like that.
I would hesitate to label him as such because I don't know the technical meaning of that term.
Okay.
So I would hesitate.
But it's safe to say audio isn't his specialty.
I cannot say that is true or is not true. I don't know.
You don't know. Okay. So if you were to get an audio specialist and you were to look somebody up, would it be beneficial to study from somebody who's written textbooks over the subject?
Absolutely, yeah.
So would what's his name? Would Robert Mayer be somebody that you would look at?
I don't know him personally. Is that the person you were talking about before?
Yeah, he's written textbooks over the subject.
Yeah, if he has, absolutely. And he did come to the same conclusion as we did. He didn't take it as far as the orientation of the rifle, but he did determine it to be the low-Z center roof.
Yeah. So it came from the the roof, right?
Correct.
Okay.
That's, I can't say correct, but that hypothesis is performing the best.
Okay.
And if I could just add that Truth did send me some interesting information from Rob Mayer. So if we have time a little later and we'd like to go through that, we can do that too, since you did bring it up.
If we want to pause the clock, you can go through that.
He's got
Okay.
a scandal.
All right. Sure. One moment. One moment. I'll load that in right now.
Oh, and I'll switch the screen here. Oh, now it's mine. Let me take mine off. Now you should have.
Thank you so much, Truth, for sending that over. We appreciate you very much. Okay.
Literally, people in the chat are nicer and more genuine towards me than my own family. That says a lot
We're
about
having
our audience.
Yeah, the audience has been great this evening. And I was just saying that I talked to the folks in the chat, I feel like more than my in real life best friends. So you guys have all become very important to me. So thank you so much for that. We're all working through this together. Let's see. I don't know if I can. Oops, sorry. I kind of messed up your thing there. Maybe it's better if I do the screen share.
Whatever you just did, can you do that again?
Sure.
Make it bigger. Perfect. Looks like this is an email. Hold on. Do we have permission? Do we have permission to share this email? This looks like private information.
It's too late. The internet's forever.
Yeah, well, do we have permission to share this? This is a private message.
All right, let's see. Well, Truth, if you're still in
let's go back to James then until we figure out whether or not we have permission to share that.
So that would be somebody that we would look to, correct?
Yes, it would be.
So I do have a question because you did bring up the cameras and everything like that and Tyler Robinson's hair. Does different audio equipment record sounds at different quality?
Yes.
Can that affect your outcome of your research?
Not this method. Only if it were like super degraded, but generally speaking, no.
Okay. I'll go ahead and take you at face value for that because this is outside of my wheelhouse. I don't know anything about this. So, yeah, that's all I have on it, really.
Okay. Kelly, can we verify that it's public, or can you send a link? I just want to verify.
Okay. Let's see. I mean, I see in here Matt sharing his links to his page, his YouTube. Truth, if you have, let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to look at the chat and see if anyone has said for sure. But Truth was saying that he put it out for everyone, so I don't know.
Okay, we'll trust Truth. I just broke it, didn't I? There we go. We can put that back. There we go. And what is this document?
Okay, so it looks like it is an email exchange back and forth between them, but basically Matt had initially reached out to him and given him some info on this. If you could scroll to the very bottom, a summary of bullet to report delay calculations. And
so this is an email for people on their phone screens who can't read it. This is from Rob Mayer, I think is how you pronounce that, from Matt Kester. So this is Rob Mayer writing.
Yes, and so Rob Mayer, he is the professor of electrical and computer engineering at Montana State University, the Bozeman campus. And so he's going to go on. I haven't had a chance to read through this text yet, but I do see multiple graphs here showing his analysis. And
do I have control over this? I do. You must have uploaded it.
Yes, I uploaded it.
there a conclusion segment? He's talking about crack thump method, I guess. Yeah, I guess this is the mock cone here. Where is the conclusion section? We have 7 pages. Summary of bullet to report delay calculations. Expected delay observed 0.171. Matches perfectly. Looks like all of these match. Field test, Kirkside mic. So what is the orientation that he's testing here? We know.
Well, it appears to me based on the image that looks like the overhead image of the courtyard and the buildings, where it says, so the reports from the university authorities of a single bullet likely fired from the building about 140 meters east of the podium seems consistent. That's what.
So it doesn't say what the orientation is. Okay. Perfect. So it appears as though that is corroborating the Losey's intershot. And I don't think, put him back up here, I don't think James would disagree with that. Is that correct?
No, I wouldn't disagree with it. That's the guy I brought up and cited. So no.
Perfect. Thank you, Truth of Aids. I appreciate it. And I think we're into audience questions now. Is that right?
Oh, let's see. Drew said something about a video angle screenshot in the email, but anyway, that'll probably get us there because I'm not exactly sure what he's, without doing too much more hunting. Yeah. All right. Well, please, we're going to do some audio, listen to me, audience questions now. And feel free to go ahead and drop your best questions in the chat and we will go through them.
So I do want to say that somebody brought up the Mauser situation, and there have been people that have shown that you could fit the Mauser in your pants, and the barrel would be up near your shoulder. The working theory is that part of the rifle was it was disassembled, and part of it was in his pants, and the other part was inside of his backpack. He got up there, he assembled it, took the shot, jumped down with the rifle and the towel, ditched the gun, and ran off.
Mm-hmm. I think that was Matt Kester who did that video.
I don't know who it was.
All right.
Shout out to them.
We done this one?
Okay.
Back to comments.
There you go.
And okay, crack to bang gives you a circle around the mic, not a point. You need to assume a bullet velocity to get that. And for 30-06, it spans 360 to 400 milliseconds, which swings the range at 143 yards by 8 yards. So what load did you assume? Truth, you got to come on the show, man. I invite both of us, I think, invited you a bunch of times. You got to come on. Or maybe we can go on your show. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, crack bang gives you a circle around the microphone, not a point. I disagree. That this point is incorrect. You need to assume a bullet velocity to get that. That is correct. That's part of the hypothesis. And for 30-06, it spans 360 to 400 maybe it means meters per second. Maybe that's what he means there. It spans 360 to 400 meters per second, which swings the range 143 yards by 8 yards. That's not correct. So what load did I assume? I'm not assuming anything. I am testing multiple hypotheses. I can drag the bullet speed on a dynamic slider and watch the error change in real time. I'm not assuming anything, but the hypothesis with the least amount of error is like 2,400 in the upper 90s. So basically 2,500 feet per second is the leading hypothesis, but it's not an assumption. Do we have any other questions?
Yes, we sure do. Okay. And also true. Let's see. Did you catch this one as well? What is the speed of sound measurement that Allgeist used?
I don't know what he used, but I have a function in my software that is just a single Python file. I can probably pull it up right now if I wanted to. GitHub.com. Anybody can find this. It's basically just a function that you use in order to calculate it based on the temperature. And I think 80 degrees temperature right now in my software, but again, change it to 90. I think it might have actually been 90. I don't know. But give me a second. Jordan Henshaw, CalCrack, GitHub. And we might be able to pull up that function right now. That did not work. GitHub. Jordan Henshaw, GitHub. Maybe it'll work. Here we go. Creator of Alva Sorcerer, CalCrack. Alva Sorcerer is my much larger project. But here we go. And it's, again, not letting me put anything on my other monitor. It's very frustrating. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to share my screen now. Presenting solo.
I can see it moving around. There you go.
And back into this one. And I'm going to put my screen right there. Okay, so here's the GitHub project. We're going to go into simulate, I think. Arc angle, orient cone, scale cone, simulate scale sphere. It's not that one. Maybe simulate advanced. Air drag, scale bullet, scale thump, simulate. It's not it. Where should it be? Hold up. Is this the wrong one? Manager events. No, it's not. It's not the wrong one. Algorithm. It's in here. Speed sound.py. This is the function that I'm using. If I can maybe zoom in here. Speed sound. So we take in the temperature in Kelvin and go temperature in Fahrenheit. So we accept the temperature in Fahrenheit from the other point in the software. And we do Fahrenheit minus 32 times 5/9 plus 273.15. That's just how you convert Kelvin or Fahrenheit to Kelvin. And then we go speed in knots equals 6643 dot. Basically, we don't need to go into all this. It's just a dynamic function that takes in the temperature and gives you the speed of sound based on the temperature. That's all we need to say. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much for pulling that up. And then we've got one more. Truth is coming through with the super chats tonight. Thank you so much again, Truth. The point is that he used crack to bang and did it quickly, not a full analysis, sort of like what you do, Jordan. It was, yeah, that fits the official narrative without verifying if it was a reflection.
I have something to show you about that. Hold on. So we're going to say that, dude, you got to come on here, man. You got to come on next time. But I'm going to find the live stream if I can. Here it is. And share my screen. This is my channel here. The Real Charlie Kirk Audio Analysis. Crack Thump Audio Forensics Live. Let's click on this. And so this is the YouTube video where I do the audio analysis and where I write the software in real time in front of a live YouTube audience. I'm literally writing the software throughout this thing. And this is a 5-hour long live stream. And the software worked at the end of the live stream. So if we want to say that, is this the comment? Yes. Sort of like what I do. I disagree with that because this is a 5-hour live stream and I've probably put 30 hours into it off the live stream. So it's definitely not a short, quick, and dirty analysis, not by a long shot.
Okay. We so we do have some other interesting comments.
And I'll put a note right there too. I'll take a dig at John Bray. He doesn't do live streams where he just writes the software on his own, but I digress. Go ahead.
Okay. Tool Druid always has some really interesting insights. There's a lot of talk in the chat about how Tyler or the person on the roof, would make it off of the roof with a gun. But also to pull that off with adrenaline going with just one shot, the perfect shot that miraculously sticks in the neck, then disassembles multiple only to leave put together for FBI. Totally absurd.
He puts it together one time. He doesn't take it apart twice.
So for anyone who's
people
confused,
said that, but that's not what happened.
kind of
He put it together once.
Could you walk through that timeline just for anyone who maybe is confused per the official narrative?
So he walks up with the gun disassembled. It's in two parts. He gets onto the roof. He assembles it. There's only one screw that you need to assemble it with. Takes the shot.
Let me pause you there. So when you said it was in two parts, where are these parts?
So the working theory that I've heard, and this is all kind of people, whatever, bullshitting on the internet. Part of it was in his pants, and the other part was in his backpack. And that's why he's walking funnies, because he has part of it in his pants. And we've already talked about this. People have proven that you could put part of a gun or the entire gun in your pants. I don't think he put the entire gun in his pants. I think he realized that he couldn't fit the entire thing in his bag. So he put one part down his pants, and the other part in his backpack.
For those who don't know, sorry to interrupt you. For those who don't know, like how long, like how large of a piece are we talking about sticking into his jeans?
The buttstock. So, where the barrel portion is separate from where the stock is, or whatever it is. I'm not a gun person. People that know guns would know better than me, but that's the part that is the working theory. We don't know for sure, but he put it together.
I mean, this is important, right? I mean, someone has been charged with aggravated murder and is facing the death penalty, so we better figure it out, right?
Yeah, well, this will be figured out in trial. We can't know we won't know everything until the trial happens. But yeah, he walks up onto the roof, assembles it. There's one screw that you have to put in, takes the shot. After he takes the shot, he runs and jumps off the roof with the gun fully assembled, and then ditches the gun fully assembled. He never takes it apart twice. And in terms of everybody saying that it takes a lot of adrenaline and, taking that shot, I really think the kid's autistic. I have nothing to back it up, but I watched video of him whenever he got accepted into college or whatever, the talk that he had with the police officers whenever he had the accident, him being perpetually online, me having dealt with autistic kids in the past, like, if you came to me and said that kid was autistic,
there.
Yeah.
What diagnostic methodology did you use to diagnose or even make the claim that he's autistic?
I'm going through it right now. I'm saying based off of my personal experience and based off of him, like watching video of him whenever he got accepted into college, watching video.
Let me rephrase. That's not a methodology. What clinical criteria did you go through?
There's no clinical criteria. I'm just answering their question.
Yes, there is clinical criteria. Which ones does he?
No, I'm saying for me personally.
That's not an opinion statement. That's a fact statement. Which criteria does he qualify for?
Okay, I don't know, and I'm telling you that this is my opinion. I'm just answering. Like, we're not doing the cross right now. I'm just kind of giving you my opinion.
No, but I think it's fair to make a medical diagnosis of someone with based solely or I understand that you're using what you believe is anecdotal evidence, but you've really only heard him speak and watched him speak on like one 15-second video.
Yeah, I know. And I'm
Okay.
saying this isn't a complete aside. This is my opinion. I said I think. And there's no clinical background behind what I'm saying whatsoever. This is just my personal opinion based off of what I've seen. And it's based off of the videos. It's based off of him talking in his Discord chats and his text messages. He just comes across as one of the autistic kids that, I'd be around whenever I was an educator.
Yeah, this program does not endorse that opinion.
Okay.
But proceed.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Keep going. Yeah, go ahead.
That was it. That's just my opinion. He put it together one time.
Okay. Do we have any more questions?
Yes. Okay. Well, this is another comment, but if Charlie returns from 1212 Chewbacca, if Charlie returns after arrests and threats are gone, they will say that he actually survived, been in hiding, in coma, and recovering. They'll never admit Jordan's theory.
If he returns,
Jordan, so can I ask a question at that point? Do you foresee Charlie ever returning to the public sphere?
I don't think there's any cases of that happening. I don't think. There's some cases where it was basically a sting operation, like the Dalia Petito case, I think, where they faked his death, but it was only for like a couple of days or something because she went to a hitman who was actually an undercover cop. She wanted to kill her husband. And in order to catch her in the crime even better, the police decided to actually stage a fake death and convince her that the hit actually went off successfully and her husband was dead. And then later, when she's in the interrogation room, after she's pretty much already confessed, then they bring out the husband and say it was all a sting operation. So that's one example of the person coming back out. But that only lasted like a day. We're at 6 months. So I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't have any other examples of that happening. So I don't think so.
Well, it's very obvious that Charlie Kirk is alive and hanging out on an island with Elvis Presley, Tupac, Bruce Lee, and any other person that you think is, alive but dead.
No, I disagree with that sentiment. I expect that.
Me too. But let me know though if you identify that island, James. That would make our investigation a lot easier.
It's off the coast of New Zealand.
Yeah, it just might start with a V.
Yeah. So Inlight said no actual proof that the Discord messages were written by Tyler Robinson. They sound so fake. So James, could you address this? How do you know that these alleged Discord messages were real?
I mean, they're in the charging documents. You would have to be pretty bold and brazen to lie in a charging document in a case this magnitude. I know lawyers that have gone to trial and they'll say things that are true, but kind of halfway true. Like you have to be, they're kind of vague on it, but you wouldn't lie in a case of this magnitude.
Hold on. Remember back in Mycross, or I think it was Mycross, or maybe it was my opening statement. Who wrote the messages? Like it was either Tyler, but the other person who had access to it was the boyfriend, was the furry trans whatever. So how do you know that he didn't write the messages in order to get $1 million?
You know, we don't know anything. We don't know that. But we do know that the police, the authorities will be able to look at his cell phone and figure out where the messages came from.
But they didn't, did they?
Do you know they don't have his cell phone right now?
It's not in the documents.
So I'm
They just
asking
took
you,
photos
do
of it.
you know for sure that he doesn't have his cell phone?
No, I don't know for sure, but it's not documented.
Okay,
that
so it's a moot point.
they took
I mean,
photos of
you
it.
don't know if they took the cell phone and analyzed it, and neither do I.
If
So we
they
can't say
took
one way
the
or the
cell
other. We
phone-
can't say that. Say again.
If they took the cell phone and analyzed it, would they put that analysis in the arrest affidavit, or would they put just a random photo of a screen in the arrest affidavit? The reason they put the random photo of a screen in the arrest affidavit is because that's what they did.
Did they put a photo of the arrest? Did they put a photo in the affidavit?
They documented the existence of the photo in the arrest affidavit.
But they didn't put a photo in there.
No, not directly, no. But that's
Okay.
what they documented. But they did not document taking the phone as evidence. They didn't document anything like that. They just took a photo of the screen.
Okay, so we'll find out for sure once the trial starts. I'm assuming they would. It would be really weird for them not to take his device and analyze it. When the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff popped off, they took
Yeah, it
Kyle's
would
phone
be
and
really
analyzed
weird.
it.
It would be really weird.
really weird. It would be really weird if someone hung on to his phone while he was being even questioned by police in one room and his phone was in another room, right? It would be really weird. I mean, there's so many different scenarios we could think about what would be really weird.
Yeah, it would be really weird, but I mean, we'll find all that out at trial.
What if there's no trial, though? What if he takes a plea?
If he does take
That
a
would really
plea,
suck.
it would suck for us. I think, depending on how the family feels about it, I think they might release some of the information. Depends on how the family feels about it. Sometimes with these cases, the family can say we don't want anything released, and they'll do that. Out of
How do you think Charlie would feel?
How would he feel
Yeah,
about what?
if there's no trial. If there's no trial,
How would he feel if there's no trial?
yeah.
He'd
Somebody
probably be
killed him.
relieved that the killer was found and was put in prison quickly and swiftly, so his family didn't have to suffer through the media firestorm of being in trial and having his family slandered.
So they
Given
threatened
that there
Tyler
are
Robinson.
They what?
They threatened Tyler Robinson with the death penalty, and maybe they get him to confess. You think Charlie
They
would
didn't threaten
okay
him with the
with
death
that?
penalty.
Really?
No,
Isn't
they didn't
that on
threaten
the
him
table?
with the death penalty.
Isn't that on the table, though?
It's on the table, but they didn't threaten him with the death penalty.
What's the difference?
I mean, they're asking for it.
Yeah, they're asking for the death penalty. You're making it sound like they went to Tyler and like roughed him up and shook him and said, if you don't confess, we're going to give you the death penalty. No, they filed for the
Basically.
death penalty in sentencing.
Basically, yeah. What's the difference between that and sticking a gun to his head?
What's the difference between
confession.
saying, hey, we're filing for death penalty sentencing and opposed to holding him with a gun to his head and saying, if you don't take the plea deal, we're going to give you the death penalty? Well,
Yeah, what's the
one,
difference?
whenever
What's
you go before a judge and they ask if you accept or guilty or not guilty, and you say, guilty, the judge asks you if you were coerced into that.
That doesn't mean anything, man. That's not how that works. That is what they say, but it doesn't
Yeah.
mean anything.
Yeah, it does.
No.
Yes, it
Come
does.
on. Come
So
on.
this is really funny. This is interesting with you. You want to be super exact and almost, anal with the wording and the phrasing and everything. And then when it gets turned around on you, you resort to, kind of how you feel and, oh, it's not how it like. That's really
You know
interesting.
how
That's
I-
really interesting.
You know how I know about this stuff, about how the death penalty works?
How's that?
is I wrote a play on it. It's called He Didn't Do It. And it's sort of a version of the Chris Watts familicide case, sort of very, very loosely based on that. But I did research on death penalty cases and how that works behind the scenes, and how plea bargains work, and how the Reed technique works. I wrote some scenes using the Reed technique, and how you coerce confessions and use the death penalty as leverage to get confessions, and extended interrogations to get confessions, and all these little mind tricks to get confessions, and how the death penalty is a weapon that's basically used against the defense to say, we don't think we have a case here, so we're going to threaten the death penalty so that we don't have to prove beyond reasonable doubt, because that's really difficult to do, especially for a case like this. If you don't have a lot of evidence, the best thing that the prosecution can possibly get is a plea deal, because that's a guaranteed conviction. So what you do is you file for death penalty on day 1 or day 2, day 3, day 4, when you realize that you have no case. And when you file that, it's emotional in the person's mind. They're going to kill me if I don't do this. So you do this. You sign on the dotted line. You go forward with that, and that's how you save your life, is to take that plea deal. A lot of people do it. You would think that Veritasium, I think, did a video on this, on forced confessions, not specifically on the death penalty, but on the basic idea of forced confessions. They can get you to admit to all kinds of stuff, especially with the death penalty on the table. So if Tyler Robinson takes a plea deal, and he, like Chris Watts, takes the plea deal, but on paper, in public statements, he's adamantly saying that it was something completely different, and then he takes life in prison without parole, that's just their technology. That's their system, their tactic working. Now they don't have to prove the case beyond reasonable doubt anymore. They don't have to prove it to anybody. They can have the worst case in the world, but because they can put the death penalty on it, nobody has to prove anything at all, because it's that emotional fear that you put inside that person's mind that says, if I lose, they're going to kill me. So I don't want to even play the game. Ellie, did you have something to say?
I was trying to find a specific percentage related to Utah when death penalty is on the table, the percentage of cases that plead out. I have not been able to find.
Let her speak, James, please.
And so I was not able to find that specifically yet for Utah, but 90 to 95% of criminal cases statewide do end in plea bargains overall. I mean, if that's any indication, then I can only imagine that when the death penalty is on the table, a plea is very, very likely. And then I see another stat thrown out there about Ohio, for example, that on capital cases, at least 50% of those do end in plea bargains, meaning that the death sentence is avoided. So just
James.
some fun facts.
Well, I'm not going to say I'm a Fed, but I'm not going to say I'm not a Fed. But there might be a reason why I know about criminal trials as well. Who knows? I might be a Fed, but I'm not saying I'm a Fed.
There's a lot of feds out there. Most of them are harmless.
I'm definitely harmless, completely harmless, 100% harmless.
You're probably a secretary.
I wish. You'd be surprised how much paperwork you have to do at my job.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
That's what I hear.
So,
Did you have-
who, me? Did I have anything? No, that was it. I was just going to say, I might be a Fed, might not be. Who knows? I'm not saying I am. I'm not saying I'm not. I'm not saying anything, honestly.
So you just told us that you're a Fed. Great. All right. We have.
I mean, can I just say I called it from the very first time that I ever heard James's voice?
I'm definitely not a Fed. Or
He
maybe
just
I
plays
am.
one on YouTube and X.
Definitely.
I called it too,
Oh,
but I don't have the receipts to prove it.
yeah.
Do we have any more questions? But there is something else I want to do real fast. Any more good questions?
Let's see.
So, Kelly, what's your theory? I don't know your theory.
Oh my goodness. Why does everybody always wait until the end of the chat when I'm like, tired at the end of the stream? But my theory, the overarching theme is that I believe that Charlie knew that he was not walking out of UVU one way or another. I believe that he was in on it, that he faked it. I can't tell you what happened once he got into the vehicle, I can't say from there, but what I see on camera is not compelling evidence to me that that he was taken out that day, for real. And I base that upon evidence leading up to 9/10, what we see there at UVU, and plenty of evidence afterwards and the way that people acted, and things that have taken place.
Let's go through some slides, shall we? I'm going to go into presenter mode again. And if that's working, let's get James back up here. You see this photo here of Charlie?
Which one?
Right here.
Yeah.
What on earth is going on with his shirt there?
There's a number of things. There's cavitation. He's got the mic, and that's holding part of his shirt down. Say again?
Where's the cavitation? I don't see cavitation.
Well, I guess the cavitation, or the air expanding, whatever you want to call it. It's moving the air at high speeds. So that's going to cause movement of the fabric. There's momentum of his body taking the hit.
But why does it? Why does it yank up like this?
Because the mic. If I'm guessing, the mic on that side of on his right side is holding his fabric down.
Let me turn this thing off. How is put it on backwards? This is the right shirt, by the way. I don't think you can see it, but I even have the Graphic Goat logo on the back of this one. I just haven't had the text put on it yet. But this is the exact same shirt style. How does the microphone over here cause this to happen?
Okay, you're looking at it wrong. You're looking at it the wrong way. The weight of the microphone, and I'm not even sure if that's the exact mic that he had. I have experience of wearing mics, that lapel mic, and a lot of times you got to thread it underneath your shirt and hide the pack, especially if you go on TV or something like that. The Kelly knows, they'll have that lapel there, and you got to thread it underneath your shirt. So that could be holding it down. So that cavitation is moving his shirt. His momentum is moving his shirt, but that mic is holding his shirt down.
Well, there's no cord. This is the receiver. It's a wireless system. So there's no cord.
Okay. Is that the exact same mic he had?
Yes, it is.
How do you know that?
Because we see it on the camera.
No, I'm saying
it's the exact same.
So you've inspected Charlie Kirk's mic, and you made sure that it was the exact same brand, the exact same specs and everything. You were able to get your hands on it?
Not the physical one, but we see the exact same transmitter on the camera, and we can go to the store and buy the thing that looks exactly the same. And we can even see these little cases on the desk. both of them, this one and I have the other one over there, it's the same mic.
So you don't
And
know
have
for
also
sure. You don't know for
spoken
certain.
and have also no I have also spoken with one of the photographers who was there that day, who also saw the mic up close, all those things.
So how
But
do
you
we
guys-
get this happening? Why does this happen?
Well, you're doing it right now. You're showing that the mic is holding that part of your shirt down. Like right
No,
now, it's doing it. Yeah, it's
doing
doing
what?
it. It's holding that
the
part of the
mic-
shirt down.
Is the mic coming down here and ripping it up like that?
No, it's holding that part of your shirt down.
But what's pulling this part of my shirt up?
I told you, airflow, cavitation, the momentum of his body.
Airflow does this.
No.
That's what cavitation does. No,
Well, yeah, from his neck, on the inside of his neck. Yeah.
this is what cavitation does. That's not what we see.
Okay, it won't do it on both sides, will it? If you get shot on one side?
That's what cavitation does.
Okay, and then you
Entire
okay. So you've already
Right.
said one side, right? From the bullet.
I
And
wouldn't
then you-
agree with that, but cavitation would do this. But even if you want to say one side,
Okay,
And
one
then-
side, and then the momentum of his body,
Mm.
the weight of the mic is holding it down. It's going at an arc. It's not going straight across.
what's not going straight across?
If you look at the freedom, it's going at an arc. It's not going straight up.
Yeah. Well, this part of it is going straight up, and there's air pressure under there is causing it to arc. And you can see here on my shirt a little bit. This isn't the greatest photo.
Yeah,
See?
that doesn't look anything like what happened with Charlie, honestly.
Are you kidding me? Come on,
It
man.
doesn't. Okay, if you look on that right-hand side, on your right-hand side of the photo, we can see the inside
Okay.
of his collar. How come we can't see the inside of your collar?
Hold on. It's not in that exact shot because I've done this hundreds of times. Profile media. Let me see if I can find this real fast.
You guys, I mean, I equate this while you're pulling that up. I equate this to like a baseball player, hitting, hitting. It's like, are they going to make is the pitch going to come in at the exact same spot, the exact same speed? Is the batter going to hit it at the exact same place? And their shirt going to move the exact same way time
You're
after
making my
time?
argument.
No.
You're making my argument, Kelly.
Well, actually, I'm saying that it's extraordinarily difficult to recreate, but he's coming damn close.
It's not close, in my opinion.
You were complaining about the pendant not being
No,
coming
the
out?
inside collar of your shirt. So where the back of your neck, the inside collar, we can see the back inside collar of Charlie's shirt. We can't see it in your photo. And even in your photo, you have to lean forward. Charlie's not leaning forward.
He was leaning forward. But do you see how we have the pendant right here?
Mhm.
I think, yeah, you can see. And we have the pendant right here. That's not close to you?
You're leaning forward. You're not in the exact same position.
Come on,
Come
man.
on, James.
Hey.
Come on.
You got this. So here's the deal. And I've already mentioned this with you. You want things to be the exact same. And then when I tell you that they're not exact, and I bring up, hey, you're never going to be able to get the exact thing, you guys come back to me and you're like, come on, man. Here, look at this. And then when I say, okay, yeah, that doesn't look exact, you're like, well, of course it's not going to be exact.
What have I asked you that's so exact? All I want is for you to show me a substitute for human flesh that will be stopped by a 30-06. I want you to demonstrate to me how cavitation causes this to happen, how it projects the entire necklace going this way. Doesn't need to be exact. It just needs to be the same basic pattern.
Okay, so when you were doing your test, did you get hit with anything and move backwards at the same time?
And move, what part of me moved backwards?
I'm asking, did you?
I can demonstrate here. Think
You don't have to demonstrate. You can just tell me.
I have to demonstrate. It's
Oh, you
so
have to.
fun.
Okay.
You want Jordan to do his hair too?
If he can, that was I don't know what was going on with Charlie's hair, but it was kind of epic.
Yeah, the back of it might be a wig because it acts in a very strange and unusual way.
No,
And
his hair all the time was weird.
no, I mean the way it puffs out in the back doesn't seem like all Jice was complaining about that in a live stream I did with him.
His hair was just weird. I've seen pictures of him where he's got long curl, like a Jerry curl at one point, and it was just weird. He had weird hair.
I
A
keep
Jerry
mispronouncing
curl. Come on now.
It was something weird.
I keep mispronouncing his name right. I think it's Allgeist is what it's supposed to be. Okay, I think I'm more or less ready here. And I think this should work. I'm gonna make myself big here. Boop, and put him back on the stage. And I don't know if this is gonna work because this is super impromptu, but I think it'll work. In 3, 2, 1. Did not work at first. Okay, but anyway, you can see the images on the screen there. It looks like it burst. Where did it burst? No, it did work. I'll have to look at the replay later. I'm not sure what exactly happened, but it didn't work. But anyway, like you can see so many test fires where I get so close. That's my point.
Almost doesn't count.
I mean,
It kind of does, though. Because you know why? Nobody else has gotten remotely close. All of the firearms tests that they've done, trying to demonstrate cavitation doing it, doesn't do anything close. All of the firearms they're trying to get to stop in the neck, not even close. Always goes right through. Never stops, no matter what you try. Cavitation, I can simulate it in Blender, doesn't work. You do it out in the real world, doesn't work. You always get the radial projection and the necklace breaks in the back and it flies forward. Both times, real world tests. When I simulate it in Blender, what does it do? Radial expansion of the neck, radial projection of the necklace, breaks in the back, flies forward, falls down. What do we see on Charlie Kirk? Wham! Not even close, unless I do it this way. So that's why it's pretty close to good enough.
Have you tried shooting somebody in the neck to see if you could replicate it?
No, obviously not. But none of the analogs we have come anywhere close. So,
and that's my point. You're not going to get it exact.
I don't need it exact. I need it to be in the ballpark. It's not in the ballpark.
Yours isn't in the ballpark.
Yes, it is. Presenting solo. Bring it back in here. That's not ballpark to you?
No. Okay, so if we look at your photo, go back, I guess in the middle, right there. Okay. Where your mic is, look how far down yours is compared to where Charlie's is. Charlie's is up near his chin.
When I get the freedom text printed on this, that'll be fixed.
Well, the mic is still not near your chin. Look how close it is to Charlie's chin. Like you're a good 4 or 5 inches away from 4 or 5 inches is the difference between a home run and, being, fly ball getting caught and out.
See how it moves to my chin?
Goodness.
That's not where the mic was originally. So the mic isn't that close to his chin originally. Go back. You can look where the mic was originally.
I think this is a pretty good theory.
Pretty good if you're starting with, a predetermined
Starting with the Fed
outcome.
narrative, yeah.
The Fed.
You see how it
How
moves?
dare you?
John's gonna love this. You see how it's not inertia, it's not recoil, it's moving towards the wound. And it does move towards the wound.
Charlie was sitting more straight up, and then his neck comes down to his chin, or I'm sorry, his chin comes down to his chest when he's hit. Kind of, sort of, but that it doesn't come up at the same time. He gets hit. The momentum of his shirt stays in place.
The momentum of the shirt. Where does the shirt have sudden momentum?
Or not the momentum of his shirt. The momentum. See, this is what I'm talking about. You want it super exact, so I'll try and be as exact as possible. The momentum from Charlie getting hit, he goes back, his shirt, stays in place and goes with him. I mean, if you look at
how come only this part of the necklace has momentum, but this part of the necklace of the shirt doesn't? Why is it only this?
Okay, you're going between two different things. You said the shirt and then the necklace. Which one are you talking about?
I misspoke. I meant the shirt. I'm sorry.
I knew what you meant. Now ask your question one more time. I'm sorry.
How come only this part of the shirt experiences the momentum you're talking about and not this part or that part or this part? Why is it only this part that yanks up?
Okay, we've already talked about this. The weight of the mic holds it down, holds his shirt down. It doesn't pull it down, it holds.
Okay.
Just the weight of the mic is enough to, just the weight of the mic. It doesn't pull it down, it holds it in place.
Okay.
A little bit more so than his shirt.
So it does this then?
It doesn't pull it down, it just stays in place.
Okay. So what is acting on the shirt?
Okay. I shouldn't say that. I'll try and be a little bit more exact. The weight of the mic
keeps it at rest.
That part of the shirt move up slower because it's weighted.
Why is it moving up at all?
Why is it moving up at all? Yeah, because he jerks back.
Does my shirt move up? It's not moving up, it's moving back.
Well, let's get a 30-aught, a Mauser, and we'll try it on an actual,
we did that and it didn't work. It just explodes the necklace outwards radially. It flies out.
You keep going between the necklace and the shirt and the mic. Like, we're talking specifically about the mic.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about the whole thing.
This is frame one. Frame
Do you
two.
like the Charlie Kirk I got down there for my avatar?
See now? I do. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
See how the necklace is flying forward and the shirt is billowing out like this in that video?
Okay.
That's what cavitation does. That's real cavitation. But what happened to Charlie Kirk is not cavitation.
What is it?
It's a CO2 pendant gun.
Okay. All right.
But what happens in the cavitation video is, hold up, let me get this right. This is what Peak Prosperity did, and it's what Range Day Bro did. What happens is, like that, in both of the videos and in my Blender simulation. But what happens to Charlie Kirk is the complete opposite. What actually happens is that, basically. So I'm not asking for exact, I'm asking for the same ballpark.
So would it be possible for the force of, a bullet hitting your neck, 30-06, and you jerking back so hard from being, shot with a bullet, would it be possible for it just to cause, the chain to snap, break, or anything like that?
Yes, but it breaks in the back and it flies forward.
Yeah, that makes sense because where the clasp is the weaker point.
Not necessarily because of the clasp, just because of the physics of it. Both times, breaks in the back, flies forward. I don't really know why that happens, but that's what happens in the simulation out in the real world. But it's a radial expansion of the neck and a radial expansion of the necklace.
Well, I mean, you think about it. If you yank a chain off of somebody, up near the clasp is typically where it breaks.
Right, when you're yanking it down, because that's where most of the force is.
I mean, you can yank it. You don't have to yank it down. You could yank it, straight forward. I mean, you don't have to yank it down.
Well,
I've broken plenty of necklaces, and I mean, it doesn't have to be near where the clasp is at all. I mean, for me, but mine are, probably thinner than.
Yeah, this is a huge necklace. I would have demonstrated it, but I don't know what happened to it. I lost it.
I would demonstrate it, but I got to keep my anonymity.
Yeah, because you're a Fed.
Oh.
Fed no, life? I'm not a Fed. You know what my favorite toys as a kid.
Just task force, not full blown Fed. Just task force.
My favorite toys as a kid were light brights.
Light brights?
Yeah.
I must be young.
I like the glowy things.
Light bright, like a nightlight?
Yeah, I like glowy things. I like things that glow.
Is that a game?
No. I think Kelly gets it, but it's whatever.
You're not this.
Oh, goodness.
Exactly that. I just like things that glow.
There you go.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened.
Okay, you guys. Well, I think we were aiming for about 2 hours. Is there anything else that you were wanting to tackle?
James?
I'm not gonna lie, these are fun. I like talking, with you all and everything like that. But at the end of the day, that's all this is. This is fun. You're not going to be able to do any kind of real research or anything until the trial comes along. We still don't have all the pieces of information. And until we get all the pieces of information, we can't really put together a case. People saying that a 30-06 is always going to exit. I mean, we've got the Martin Luther King Jr. getting shot, in his jaw and it, ricocheting it around. I have other instances of people being shot point blank with a bullet and it getting lodged in their bodies and them getting up and walking away. I think I saw one other guy who got shot with a 30-06 and it didn't exit in his body at all. And I believe it wasn't far away. I think it was fairly close range. So, we're not going to know. We don't know the grain weight of the bullet. We have so many things that we don't know. And in investigations like this, there's going to be a lot of things that we don't know until we get the information.
All right.
It might have been a varmint round. It might have done all those things.
But you can't demonstrate it.
What's that?
But you can't demonstrate it.
Yeah, I can't demonstrate it because, we don't have access to all the information.
All right. We are at 2 hours, 20 minutes.
Do you have any questions for me?
No. I think this was a great show, guys.
Yeah, I think so too. Thanks to everyone for being here. The chat was on fire this evening. You guys were great. Thank you for coming prepared with lots of interesting. Well, I mean, should we ask the chat, actually, you guys? Guilty or not guilty? Wasn't that the
Sure.
purpose of the stream?
I mean, it's heavily biased.
No, no. I think I have such good points that it's clearly, obviously, going to go in my favor. Type 1 if you believe that James May is correct. Type 2 if you believe Jordan is correct.
Yeah, just type guilty or not guilty in the chat. Because I already forgot what the numbers are. But I think it's
I'm
probably
one.
gonna be
I'm
all
always
not
number
guilty.
one. Just remember that. I'm number one.
Oh, goodness. At least you saved it for the end.
I think we
What'd
have a
they
lot of
say?
twos. A lot of
I'm
not
seeing a
guilty.
lot of ones.
I see
All right.
number one Fed. That's what I see.
You're the only Fed who's come on here. So in
Yeah.
that sense, you are. Maybe
You
we
know,
can get Gary on.
I hope they give you a bonus for effort.
you know, nobody gives me anything. Everything I get is hard earned and worth it. So, you know.
Yeah, that's how it works for us
Overtime.
guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
overtime. He putting in that
Absolutely.
overtime tonight.
Have me on again so I can yell at you.
Yeah, maybe we can have Gary and you on. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Gary, forget his last name, but Gary from Paramount
Melton?
Tactical.
Yeah.
Gary Melton, thank
Gary
you.
Melton. Mhm.
All right, let's go ahead and close it down. Thank you, James, for coming on. I appreciate your time, sir.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
All right. And there we go. And thank you, Kelly, for coming on. I appreciate your time as always.
Thank you. Thank you. See you guys next time.
All right. And end.